I never thought I'd have a chance to make this video, but with the sudden resurgence of Gigantic, anything's possible. I need to plead my case for why Battleborn deserves a second chance, just like Gigantic, and I know I'm not alone now. There are dozens of us, Gearbox. Dozens. And we're about to talk to you about this right now. So keep your butt in the seat, Pitchford, and listen to me, and anybody else who wants to listen to. Just a couple weeks ago, we found out Gigantic is on its way back. We even had a closed beta for it. Funnily enough, I predicted that it would come back, but I've talked about that too much. You could just go watch the video if you were unaware. And because of that, I'm starting to see these comments and conversations about Battleborn could have a second chance at life too, seeing as they're both owned by Gearbox. I didn't think there was anybody out there left that wanted to support Battleborn. I didn't think there was still some faint pulse to that heart, but it's there. And that heart is a strong heart. It wouldn't have withheld this long. I mean, it's not even really because of Gigantic coming back that Battleborn fans are showing up more. In fact, there's a Discord server that has people running the single player campaign. So people have found a way to get back in and at least play the PvE side of it, but I'll get into that in just a moment. We got to get into the whole bread and butter. We got to open up this thing and start smelling what's coming out of it. Yeah, that makes sense. I played on Xbox because this was like 7 or 8 years ago. I didn't have a PC at the time. Apparently, PC users were having a lot of unstable server issues. I don't really remember that. I only really remember the fond memories from the game, and I'm sure a lot of PC players would say the same thing. But because of that, I saw some crazy things. You can call them theories. I'm not really sure. It was like stepping into a time machine and seeing all this wild conversation about this way back in the day. I saw stuff about like it was populating a new server every time they searched. There was hundreds and hundreds of servers, so people weren't able to find matches. That's some insane stuff. I'm not sure how long it took them to fix that, or if it ever even got fixed. That could have been the nail in the coffin. There's not really just one reason why the community died, and the population dropped so low that they couldn't afford to keep the servers up and running anymore. But there could have been a couple ways to avoid that. For one, crossplay would have been a really huge thing. I get it, it was a different time. That wasn't as wildly available in gaming. We're spoiled now by the crossplay and the cross progression and everything. And this could have really just been fixed with peer-to-peer matchmaking. I mean, the single player was online all the time as well. I'd rather deal with some lag here and there than have to have a timetable on when my servers are going to run out and disappear completely, because I'm still upset. Talk about Battleborn, you talk about Gigantic. There was one game in the middle of that was killing them both slowly. Paladins. Nah, I'm just kidding. It was Overwatch. Overwatch was the big top dog at one point in time. Overwatch was the king, the creme de la creme, the Godzilla, king of the monsters in the hero shooter community. Not so much anymore. They've been bleeding out for a long time now, and I personally don't think they're going to last too much longer, especially if Gigantic comes back and does well. I have my concerns with that, but they're nothing too serious. I know at least we'll have some fun with it for a couple of years. For more of my idea on how that was, you should watch my closed beta review, and then eventually when the game comes out, I'll have more information on how I feel about its future. But this is about Battleborn. We've given too much time to Gigantic. There's never enough time. That game is great too. They're both good games. And so was Overwatch at one point, so it's fair that it was one of the many things driving daggers into the back of Battleborn and its community. And this might get bleak here just for a moment, because I want to go over the things that I think helped kill Battleborn. It might not be all of them, and unfortunately you might be able to think of some more, but these are the ones that came to my mind. Battleborn dropped like 3 weeks before Overwatch, and still it didn't come out to as successful as a start. A lot of that comes down to marketing. I don't remember many people even knowing what Battleborn was, exactly how it played, or anything like that. I do remember seeing like a Claptrap commercial. I think it was during the Super Bowl or something, and to me it felt like they thought, hey, we made Borderlands, we made Claptrap, you love those things, so you should just buy our game. Unfortunately, clout is not often enough. People needed more. They needed more hype up. They needed more talking and showcasing exactly what the game was going to be, and a better understanding of what they were getting into. Because the gameplay was top notch, but it was a MOBA, and at that, a cross-platform MOBA, and this was during a time where that wasn't really much of a thing. There was maybe 1 or 2 games that I could think of. On top of that, you had to pay to play. Nowadays, free-to-play is a very common pricing model for gaming. Lots of people expect that model in mobile games especially. So when most people got into the game, they assumed it was something else entirely. A team deathmatch, a domination, there was even a control mode, but it was something so much more than that. For some people, it was their first experience in MOBA. I'm not ashamed to admit it was my first MOBA, and it was the one I loved the most, and I still love it the most today. I would give anything for it to come back. But people struggled to learn how to play in those comps and what to do in those situations. Not everybody had been playing League of Legends every day up until that moment. So that learning curve was incredibly high, much higher than what Overwatch was setting for you. Overwatch, you just had to kill the other team pretty much. That was the big thing, and maybe push an objective here and there. There's not much to that. In Battleborn, you had to learn how to level up your character correctly, how to make builds, how to put on gear, how to fight NPCs, how to fight bosses. There was just so much to that multiplayer side of it. Not everybody was willing to put in that kind of work. Despite Overwatch and Battleborn being completely different genres of games, one being an arena shooter and one being a MOBA, Battleborn still picked fights with Overwatch, which were pretty fun, light, and cute and everything, but that doesn't mean the player bases are going to see it that way. It definitely turned into a war between Overwatch and Battleborn, something akin to Call of Duty versus Halo, and it was just not necessary. I don't think that was their intention. I think they both just wanted to poke a little fun at each other, and as far as Twitter goes, it's one of the lighter moments, and certainly not toxic by its standards. And then there's the servers, most notably on Steam. Like I said, apparently there was a lot of issues throughout most of its lifespan. Because of that, people give up patience really quickly and they jump to something else. If by some godly or even ungodly chance we are given another crack at Battleborn, try peer-to-peer. It's cool, I promise you. I think that's enough of the negative Nancy talk, because there's so much to Battleborn that I love, and I can't help but look back on it and be flooded with memories that just bring me so much joy. Down to the intro cutscene from Deltron 3030, which is probably my favorite intro to a video game ever.
Robots stand guard. Whoever got the capital, they selling them off. They kick back, living large off of cars, but the larger they are, the larger the barrage.
The gameplay was really sharp and played extremely well. I never heard anybody complain about the gun mechanics or any of the abilities and the level up systems. And pair that with some really diverse characters in a time where they didn't really have anybody to rip them off from. They all felt original and new. And it's a Gearbox game, so those characters are just brimming with life. You've got people like Benedict, the most patriotic eagle of all time. Can't catch Benedict is still something that's stuck in my head. Shane and Oryx, Miko, the fun-loving mushroom healer dagger assassin. Kelvin, it might not be freedom units, but Benedict doesn't have to know that. Arendi, voiced by Ashley Birch, you know, Tiny Tina, Big Lovable Montana, and if you were playing him, you better have been singing his song. And then we get to my absolute favorite hero in any hero shooter I've ever played. I'm sorry, Chappie stands, but Thorn is my gal. I still feel like I haven't played a game that can match that bow and arrow gameplay. That was just so freaking fun to pick people off with. And that's just one character out of many. Also, Cleese fans were really good at being mean to me and anyone else in the lobby. Dude, what about Toby or Caldarius? Or what about when I tried to learn Wrath and it took me like 100 hours because I just couldn't get down the glass cannon gameplay. I was just so bad at it. Oscar Mike, Whiskey Foxtrot, Reyna. I still remember all of them. Isaac. Like I said, I played on Xbox and I never really had trouble finding matches. In fact, there was a tight-knit community that I would play with. I even made a post one time on Reddit where I was just asking, hey, can I get some friends to play with? I don't have anybody that'll play this game with me. And sure enough, I got like 300 comments and I ended up having some friends that I played with until the very end of the game. I don't know if I want to dox them or anything. I still remember you guys, and if you remember me, how are you doing that? I had a completely different gamer tag back then. Outside of the PvP MOBA, if you were a big fan of PvE co-op games, you could also do that. I liked it, but I've never been a big PvE guy. I'm sure I put in more hours than I can remember, but my heart was always in the MOBA sphere of things. Again, there is a Discord server that will help you play Battleborn right now. I haven't done it myself. I might do it soon. If you want me to, I'll let you know, but I'm in no rush. I want the MOBA to come back, not the PvE stuff. Sorry. Because unfortunately, with all the games I've played since and all the fun I've had in those games, nothing has come close to the love I felt for Battleborn. It was one of my all-time favorite games, and I'll never be able to play it again. Unless Gearbox wants to keep being risky. I mean, bringing back Gigantic is risky. The game died in a free-to-play model for them to bring it back in a pay-to-play model. In fact, Battleborn had more players than Gigantic did. I'm sure they have their reasons for doing Gigantic, and maybe they can have their reasons for doing Battleborn next. Testing the waters? I don't know. Just keep the ball rolling. That's all I'm saying. Overwatch is crippled. It's not the same game it used to be. Blizzard has been making terrible decisions for years, especially with Overwatch 2 and the few months before it came out. Paladins has never been super successful on Steam, so you could also target that audience. No offense, Paladins, I got nothing against you. You know, my favorite game was ripped away from me, and now I get to watch Gearbox revive Gigantic. Another great game, but not the game for me. However, this did show me that there are others out there like me. I've been seeing the conversations. I've been seeing the people show their love. We've got to do more of that. We have to show Gearbox that we want this. This is our petition. Tell them, tweet at them, make YouTube videos, share YouTube videos, get them to say something, anything at all. If you're listening, I will play Gigantic and Battleborn every single day. I'll play them both. Maybe not an even distribution, but I'll do it. I'll play Gigantic for 2 years if you promise me that I'll get Battleborn Battleborn in 2 years from now. I don't care. If I gotta wait, I just want a confirmation that you could possibly think of doing this for me. It's been almost 8 years and things have changed so much. Bring it back as a true free-to-play. Don't confuse people by calling it a trial. Fix those servers and do some proper marketing, and I think this thing could really stand a chance. My people are coming out of the woodworks, more vocal than ever. We're here and we'll support Gigantic because it's a good game. But remember this, we scratch your back, you scratch ours. Or else me and my 10 buddies, we're just gonna leave. We'll just up and abandon you. Bye.
I'm dead, dude. And my tummy hurts. And I'm sad. And I'm tired.
The body, like making sure she a hobby. Ain't no assessing it saucy. I'm a hero, you ain't better stop.